The brain is an amazing and complex organ. If you don't believe me, I am sure I'll be able to convince you otherwise. Not by telepathic powers, but simply by the power of your own brain. Let's take up this short sentence and ask you to read it. You've probably successfully read this on the first try. Your brain has unscrambled this sentence in order for you to comprehend it without knowing. Are you convinced yet?
If you put your two fists together, fingers touching, this is relatively the size of your brain, weighing at about 3 pounds. The brain is divided into two separate sections that characterize your personality and your qualifications. The brain is divided into two interconnecting hemispheres. We have the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is logical, analytical, and scientific, while the right hemisphere is creative, sensual, and artistic.
However, science has never really supported the classification of the attributes in the left and right hemisphere. The University of Utah has recently debunked this theory by analyzing over 1,000 brains.
The brain is then divided into 4 specific lobes. The temporal lobe processes some visual information, but its main function is the auditory reception. The frontal lobe controls some body movement, reasoning, judgment, and emotions. The parietal lobe interprets sensations such as pain, touch, hot, and cold. The occipital lobe receives and analyzes visual information.
The brain is then divided into specific parts with interesting names and definitive functions. Within these parts of the brain, we can decode a fraction of the profound secrets of the brain. The cerebrum is a center of intellect, consciousness, memory, and language. The corpus callosum is a white matter joining and connecting the cerebral hemispheres. The cerebellum coordinates and regulates muscle activity, while the spinal cord connects all parts of the body with the brain. Medulla oblongata is a control center for the heart and the lungs. Pons link neurons in the left and right hemisphere and the cerebellum to the rest. The thalamus connects the forebrain and the hindbrain and relays sensory information, and is also the center for pain reception. Hypothalamus coordinates autonomic nervous system and homeostasis.
Neurotransmitters are specialized cells that conduct nerve impulses to neighboring cells. At rest, the brain makes 20 to 30 connections. While the brain is active, it makes an astounding 300 to 500 nerve impulses per second. In order to understand this concept, we must first understand how neurons work. The neuron cell consists of a few major parts. The first is myelinated Schwann cells. Secondly, dendrites, which are root-looking like structures. Thirdly is the axon, and last is the cell body. Neighboring neurons communicate from the presynaptic node to the postsynaptic node via neurotransmitters.
Dopamine is a compound present in the body which acts as a neurotransmitter of other substances. Here is the molecular structure of dopamine. Dopamine plays a key role in body movement. The absence of dopamine causes Parkinson's disease, which interrupts the ability to execute smooth, controlled movements. The effects of moderate levels of dopamine are mental boost, alertness, euphoria, relaxation. High levels of dopamine are pleasure, and low levels causes anxiety.
There are 3 major factors that induce a proliferation of dopamine levels. These factors include drugs, alcohol, and food.
Tetrahydrocannabinol is a chemical compound commonly found in marijuana. THC binds to the cannabinoid receptors in the brain. THC affects your dopamine levels, thus affecting your thoughts, perception, as well as your imagination.
2 major types of neurotransmitters that communicate, glutamate and GABA, and they work hand in hand with dopamine. Excited neurons use glutamate, while inhibitory neurons use GABA. Alcohol decreases glutamate while increasing GABA. Therefore, less glutamate causes you to remember less, function less efficiently, and weakening your senses.
Food makes the brain happy. Food releases many neurotransmitters, such as serotonin, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, and let's not forget, dopamine. A balanced diet stimulates many neurotransmitters in the brain and promotes optimal brain function.